In this video, we're going to look at some different ways to apply filters in Power BI Desktop using some data we've already imported in. If you've been watching this series so far, you know what I'm about to say to anybody who hasn't been watching, and that's to go and watch the playlist from the beginning, and I'll put the description in the link below. It's important that you get familiar with all the concepts that we're building on and also the data set that we're working with. So we've got our data set here, which is pupils, and I want to look at a few different options I have to filter the data. Now, I've already created a couple of visualizations in advance of this. One is a count of the male and female students I have in the class in my data. And then I'm using some new visualizations, which you can see over here is called a card. So that's just simply summarizing one of my values from my table. So here we've got the average maths percentage, and below is the average reading percentage. So the great thing about Power BI is when I interact with certain elements of it, it starts to filter down other bits of it. So if I click back onto here, both of them are showing 60% at the moment. If I click female, it's going to show me the results that relate to the female students in the class. So it's 66% and 54, and for the male, 52 and 70. And just in case anyone isn't quite sure how to make these look like a percentage, I'm going to go to my maths percentage field, and I'm just going to click up here on the modelling section, and that will then change that into a percentage. And then I'm going to do the same for my reading. Click on that, and that just prepares it for me as a percentage. So I can actually take that that modelling off, the filter off by just clicking back on it again. So that's one way of filtering. One of the other options, which we've looked at in a previous video, is using a slicer. So if I create a new visualisation and I'm going to bring my gender label across, I then get the female and male here, so I can click on that, and then again, so I get the same values here. What you'll notice is different this time is that it completely filters out female from here, so you just get the male. So again, it depends on what you're trying to achieve as to what you want the visualization to look like. So that's another way of filtering. You can also allow, in slices, you can allow it to select both or only single select. The other way is to actually go into the data sets themselves behind the scenes. So in this data section here, and you can actually on the table that you want to work with, you can actually filter within here. So if I were to filter on our gender, I can select F and click on OK. Now that filters that data. So let's have a look and see what it does the other end. Now that's not made any changes to this front end here, so all that data is still there. So if I go back to it, so adjusting this doesn't actually adjust what the end result, but it might be that I have some a particular data set that I only want to see a certain segment of, and I really want to kind of filter it behind the scenes. So the way I can do that is I can click on this ellipsis here and go to Edit Query. And this is the kind of Power, well, you can see it's the Power Query editor. And if here I decide to select the female students, it actually filters it and adds a step. And this is really the transformation of our data. So this will then be affecting what comes through in the front. So I need to close and apply. If I do that now, it's going to try and apply these changes. So it's actually doing something to the data here. And now it's only bringing through the female students. So those are a couple of different ways of applying filters to our data set. So do try and follow this yourself. Go and download the data from my website, follow it along, get familiar with those different ways of filtering data, and let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you want to keep up to date with more content, then click on the subscribe button and the bell icon for notifications.